So we'll be learning about the web servers. Okay. Some of you have already done this similar kind of setup while running the user data script in AWS while launching AWS instances. In user data, we have run this similar kind of scripts. Okay. But now today we'll learn about how to do it manually using the commands and all. Okay. So without web servers, we won't be able to perform most of the exercises in DevOps future. Okay. So generally the web servers are used for uh, st- uh, web page hosting. Okay, so there are two types of pages: static pages and dynamic pages. Static pages means just giving the content to the end user, just showing, displaying the page and images and all. Okay, but when we want some interaction with the end user, like getting some details of the user in the form of some contact us page or order now and all, those are dynamic pages. In dynamic pages, generally database is involved or JavaScript is involved. Okay, so which stores some users data and based on the data gives some other output. Okay, but in static the output will always remain same. Okay, so web servers are mostly Apache and Nginx, and the third one is IIS. These are very famous ones. Okay, mostly used. Okay, so for serving static content, okay, Apache and Nginx is used, if you can see here, and sometimes Apache Tomcat as well. But based on some different programming languages, the dynamic content can be served using, okay, some PHP FPM, okay, module, you can say. For Ruby and Ruby with Rails, we can use Puma, Unicorn, Thin. Okay, for JavaScript, Node.js is used. Okay, uh, for Python, G Unicorn. Okay, for Java, Apache Tomcat. Okay, ASP. But these are the dynamic ones. So dynamic content. We'll learn about mostly the static content. It is easy for us. We are not developers, right? So it's easy for us to host a website using static web pages, and for that we'll be learning about Apache and Nginx. Okay, so let's start with Apache configuration. So we'll also learn some new commands, okay, on the fly, like apt-get and all. So sudo apt-get is one of the command to get the packages, okay, for Ubuntu. For other Linux flavors, the command may vary. Sometimes for Red Hat flavors, you may use yum instead of apt-get, and nowadays DNF as well. So here we have written Ubuntu 20, but it is also applicable for Ubuntu 22. Our EC2 instance which we have created is Ubuntu 22. I'm logged into it. Okay, so let's start the exercise. So sometimes you'll see the IP address is this one. For you, the IP address may vary. This was done on some other Linux VM, not on cloud. Okay, but only the IP address will change. Other things will remain same. Okay. Okay. So this is quite simple. So I'll do most of the work using Ubuntu user only. Okay, not any other user. Other users we can delete. So we always need to do apt-get update. It just updates the cache for downloading the packages. Only apt-get update. In Linux flavor, that is Red Hat, Fedora and all, okay, which uses RPM. So RPM is Red Hat Package Manager kind of installation. The command yum update will patch the server. Here apt-get update will not patch the server. Patching the server means it will not uh, change the version of the downloaded packages. Okay, it is just for syncing the repositories. That's it. Now let's check if port with using netstat command -antu, we can check whether the port 80 is in use or not. Okay, remember that Apache runs on port 80, and when we start that Apache service, or sometimes it is also called HTTPD in Red Hat. Okay, when we start that service, port 80 is in use. Okay, and it will give some output. But as we do not have net tools, it is not allowing us to give the output. So to install netstat command, we'll have to install one package called nettools. After that, we'll be able to see the output of netstat command. So if you see, it is showing the port 80 is in use. Why? Because just now we installed Apache in the previous exercise. Okay, so if you remember, this is the exercise. So using this command, we did the installation. Okay, I also performed this exercise to check if everything is working fine, and Apache was installed using this command. So again, if you have not done, okay, so in this exercise we'll just again do apt get update, and means we are running two commands at a one time. So Apache 2 is already installed, so it is not installing it. And using netstat antu grep 80, we can always check if the port 80 is in use or not. Okay, so this TCP 6 means it is running on both TCP IP 4 and 6. Okay, so there are two types of IP addressing, you can say IPv4 and IPv6. Okay, IPv4 is mostly used nowadays, but some of the mobile networks and all use IPv6. Okay, some have already migrated to IPv6 and all. So why there is a need for IPv6? Because we are short of IP addresses in IPv4. Okay. So with netstat command, I'm able to check if the port 80 is in use or not. It is showing it is in use, but if you want to check that which user is using that, or which process is using that particular, okay, then we can use one more command, okay, that is lsof -pni grep 80. Okay, so it will not give output until we use sudo to it. Okay, for netstat sudo is not required, but here if we see, it is showing that port 80 is in use by Apache service. That means Apache 2 is using this service. Okay, so these two commands are very important. They will be helpful for Uber, for most of the DevOps stuff. Okay, sometimes while troubleshooting, there may be port conflict. Okay, if we try to use multiple web servers on the same port. Okay, like next we'll be installing nginx. Okay, so nginx also use port 80, but as it Apache 2 is already using a engine port 80, nginx will not work properly on the same server. Okay, so for that purpose, the netstat and lsof commands are important. So after installing Apache, we can check using systemctl status. For most of the services, the command would be same. Instead of Apache 2, it may be MySQL or any other service. But to check the service, this is the command. Okay, so if you see sudo systemctl status, it's saying it is running. Okay, and port 80 is in use. Now one of the command to check on the to test whether the web server is working fine is or not is localhost curl localhost. Okay, so if you see, it is giving some content, that is an HTML page code. On command line, it will directly give HTML code. So if you see, it displayed the default HTML page. Now let's check the IP address of this system. The IP address of this system is 172.132.4.248. Okay, now we can curl that as well. Okay, so it is also giving us the page. That means it's working fine. Now let's check the public IP address of this instance. Okay, And now let's try to curl it. Okay, and it is also giving us the page. Let's browse it on the browser. So the private IPs we cannot browse, okay, but the public IP we can browse. So this is the default HTML page it is showing us. Okay, and remember, for some of you it may not work if you have not opened the port 80. Okay, so to support to open port 80, go to this security, and in that security check for security group. Okay, in security group, at the time of installation itself, means launching this VM or EC2 instance, have allowed port 22 and 80. If you have not allowed, just go to inbound rules and add one rule for HTTP, okay, from everywhere, and just click on save. I already have, so I won't click on save. Okay. So until and unless you allow port 2080, it will not display the page. But this is not the page which we want. Okay, we want our custom page. Okay, so if you see here also it is written, if this is the default welcome page used to test the correct operation of Apache 2. Okay, after installation of Ubuntu servers systems. And if you should replace this file located at var www.html index.html. Okay, so this is the web page is served from this location. Just to cat and we'll see the same page. Now what we need to do is we need to replace this page. Okay, so either you can copy it first, mv, and mv means we can also rename it. I'm just renaming it as original. Okay, permission denied, so add sudo to it. And now I don't have index.html. Let's add some custom content into it. I can directly add for the testing. So we'll do it using sudo vim for sudo cat. Let's see, it will not work for cat. The sudo doesn't work. So we'll have to use vim editor. Okay, sudo vim. This is my web page. So we are not writing the code, HTML code, but if we have ready-made HTML code, we can also add it here. This is my web page. The other method can be echo. The echo command will work. So echo, whatever we echo, okay, this is second line. Okay, that gets displayed on the screen. Okay, so whatever displayed, just redirect it to this file. Let's see if it works. Okay, so it will append one more line into it. Okay, if we use single greater than, it will just overwrite it. It will have only one line. Okay, and just press enter. Again it's showing permission denied. So this is the only method. Okay, vim, or just become sudo su and create that file at this location. So this will work now. As a root it will work. Okay, now just to curl, we can do it from anywhere. Curl localhost. Okay, this is my web page. This is the second line. Now again you can check here on the public IP address. Okay, this is my web page. I had to refresh a couple of times.